Joseph Schumpeter. He was an Austrian-American economist who lived from 1883 to 1950. He began his studies at the University of Vienna, where he got his PhD in 1906. He became a professor of economics and government and taught at the University of Czernowitz, the University of Graz. He became the finance minister of Austria, worked at Bertelsmann Bank, and taught at the University of Bonn. He also became a professor and taught at Harvard University. While at Harvard, he was not respected as a classroom teacher and consequently not respected among his fellow professor peers. However, he was able to have a small gathering of people that were loyal to him and respected his ideas. Most of his ideas were not seen as popular because they were not consistent with the Keynesian ideas at the times. This part of Schumpeter's life was seen as a time where he did a lot of hard work but got little recognition. The novel economic approaches and theories taken by Schumpeter are about theories of capitalist development, views of the importance of entrepreneurs and innovation, and business cycles. He believed that capitalism cannot survive and will result in socialism. He thought capitalism would be destroyed by its own successes. Capitalism will lead to a form of corruption and a fostering of values which are hostile to capitalism. Capitalism is crucial to spark entrepreneurship, but Schumpeter's theory explains that the same capitalist system will place restrictions upon entrepreneurship that will burden and destroy the capitalist structure. He explains in his book, Capitalism, Socialism, and Democracy. He believed that the decline would be caused by intellectuals, a class of people who critique social matters but are not necessarily part of them. One of Schumpeter's main theories is that of creative destruction. New innovations cause old inventories, ideas, technology, skills, and equipments to become obsolete. This creative destruction, he believed, causes continuous progress and improves the standards of living for everyone. Schumpeter also had views on the importance of entrepreneurs and innovation. He believed that entrepreneurs are the center of the economy. Not only do they stimulate investment and innovations, they create new means of production. They also are a crucial part of the creative destruction idea because they create the technologies that make others obsolete. Schumpeter also had ideas about competition and explains that a perfect competition was the way to maximize economic well-being. Under perfect competition, all firms in an industry produce the same good, sell it at the same price, and have access to the same technology. However, he thought monopolies may be a better form of competition because it forces people to innovate and compete against each other, and thus fuels the idea of creative destruction. Lastly, Schumpeter was known for his ideas about business cycles. Again, he thought entrepreneurs were the driving force of business cycles because they fueled economic development. Company after company would have to react to the new innovation. The result of the development is showcased in multiple business cycles of the economy. First is the kitchen cycle, which is about small inventory buildup, the cycle lasting about 40 months. The jugular cycle explains about capital accumulation, lasting 7 to 11 years. The Kusner cycles explains about the effect of immigration in and out of the country and changes in construction in the country, lasting 15 to 25 years. The Kondrativ wave takes into account larger-term business cycles and records high and slow growth, lasting 40 to 60 years. And the Grand Supercycle, which talks about a buildup of innovation. There's periods where people come up with innovation, but businesses don't feel a need to rush them into the market. This cycle comes about every 70 years.
Joseph Schumpeter's ideas built off prior economic thoughts and norms. He had a few main influences. He based his ideas from the historical school of economics, an approach to understanding economics that believes economists can learn about the economy and human behavior by looking at history. Therefore, it can be said that he continued the ideas from noted economists such as Sombart and Schmoller. Werner Sombart invented the term and concept of creative destruction, which is obviously a large part of Schumpeter's economic theory of innovation. Many of Schumpeter's ideas come from Sombart, actually, but he did not always give credit where it was due. Gustav von Schmoller was also a huge influence on Schumpeter's theories. Schmoller focused his work on trying to solve the pressing social problems caused by the rapidly spreading Industrial Revolution and its assembly line technology. Another economist that influenced Schumpeter was Leon Walras. Schumpeter said, Walras is the greatest of all economists. His system of economic equilibrium, uniting as it does the quality of revolutionary creativeness with the quality of classic synthesis, is the only work by economists that will stand comparison with the achievement of theoretical physics. His theory explains how to determine when the demand and supply in an economy reach equilibrium. Schumpeter also disagreed with many previous economists, such as John Keynes and David Ricardo. He did not agree with their theories that kept too many variables in an economic system constant. It did not seem as realistic.
Many economists built off Schumpeter's work. He influenced Alan Greenspan, chairman of the Federal Reserve from 1987 to 2006. He said the evident acceleration of the process of creative destruction which has accompanied these expanding innovations and which has been reflected in the shifting of capital from failing technologies into those technologies at the cutting 21 edge has been remarkable. This quote shows how he thought creative destruction is the basis of capitalism and how it is the reason for our current technological advancement. He thought it was relevant right now as we are advancing very quickly. Schumpeter also influenced Nicholas Georgescu-Roegen, Schumpeter's protege. Georgescu-Roegen said that the second law of thermodynamics governs economic principle. Basically, economic growth in a system never decreases because it moves towards economic equilibrium. Further, Schumpeter influenced Hyman Minsky. He was one of his loyal followers at Harvard and later developed theories to explain financial crises based on the life cycle of the economy.
Now, what would Karl Marx and Adam Smith have to say about Schumpeter's ideas? Well, let's keep in mind that Schumpeter's ideas are very socialist, which is pretty evident in his book, Capitalism, Socialism, and Democracy. We'll start with Marx. First, on the topic of capitalism's progressive and creative properties, Marx would agree with Schumpeter that capitalism will collapse into socialism. However, Marx would disagree as to why. Marx thinks that capitalism cannot survive because of economic failure, while Schumpeter thinks capitalism is being destroyed because of its very creative success. This is the idea of creative destruction discussed earlier. Second, on the topic of capitalism's dysfunctional properties, both Marx and Schumpeter agree about the existence of the major dysfunctional features that Marx points out, such as alienation, class struggle, depression, and inequality in wealth. However, Marx points to these as major flaws in capitalism, while Schumpeter thinks these characteristics do not hinder capitalism, but actually fuel a creative function in industrialization. Now let's talk about Adam Smith. Smith would agree with Schumpeter that capitalism is the best form of an economic market. They feel it is a force for improving society and making men better off. They also see the emergence of a capitalist elite that will be their economic force ride over the mass of workers. The fact that farmers and artisans were displaced by the factory system during the Industrial Revolution was an example of this. However, Smith would disagree from Schumpeter that slight monopolies are necessary, and that capitalism will be the death of itself. Smith's invisible hand theory proves that he thought capitalism was a self-correcting and sustaining system.